Not Mr. Scudder. Captain Theophilus Digby of the 40th Gurkhas. Presently home on leave. I'll thank you to remember that, sir.
Theophilus Digby. Theophilus Digby. I made him up a bed in the smoking room and sought my own couch, more cheerful than I'd been for the past month. Things did happen occasionally, even in this god-forgotten metropolis. New event, deeper into the mess. And let's continue the story. Deeper into this mess. May you live in interesting times. Tuesday, the 19th of May, 1914, Wimpole Street, London. Tick, tock. Why are there noises? What was that? Was that a tinker or a milkman type thing? Seems oddly... Whoa! Seemed oddly dark in here. I think it's, what, it's 25 to 8, isn't it?
Stop that row, Paddock. There's a friend of mine, Captain... he's dossing down in there. Get breakfast for 2, and then come and speak to me.
Right. The character of our servant, Paddock. He had as much gift of the gab as a hippopotamus, and was not a great hand at valeting, but I knew I could count on his loyalty. Acquaintance. Paddock was a fellow I had done a good turn to out on the Selaqui, and I had inspanned him as my servant as soon as I got to England. I have no idea what that means, inspanned. Recruited, possibly? Something along those lines, I would assume. Ooh, sausages. I told Paddock a fine story about how my friend was a great swell with his nerves pretty bad from overwork, who wanted absolute rest and stillness. Nobody had got to know he was here, or we would be besieged by communications from the India office, and the Prime Minister and his cure would be ruined. Absolute silence and discretion. And I'm bound to say Scudder played up splendidly when he came to breakfast. He fixed Paddock with his eyeglass, just like a British officer, and asked him about the Boer War, and slung out at me a lot of stuff about imaginary pals. Paddock couldn't learn to call me sir, but he sirred Scudder as if his life depended on it. I left him with a newspaper and a box of cigars, and headed out to Alexandra Park Racecourse. Don't bet on horses. When I got back, the liftman had an important face.
Nasty business here this morning, sir. Gent in number 15 been and shot himself. I just took him to the mortuary. The police are up there now.
Ah, so they found the body. Ah, we're going up. We're going up to see the body. I ascended to number 15 and found a couple of bobbies and an inspector busy making an examination. I asked a few idiotic questions and they soon kicked me out. Coroner's Court. I attended the inquest the next day. The jury found it a case of suicide while of unsound mind. All the spirits and whatnot. And also he was playing up that he was ill as well. I gave Scudder a full account of the affair, and it interested him greatly. He said he wished he could have attended, for he reckoned it would be about as spicy as to read one's own obituary notice. Could be interesting. Scudder was very peaceful the first few days he stayed with me. He read and smoked a bit and made a heap of jottings in a notebook, and every night we had a game of chess, which he beat me hollow. But on the third day, I could see he was beginning to get restless. He fixed up a list of days and started making remarks against them. He started listening for little noises and was always asking me if Paddock could be trusted. Once or twice he got very peevish and apologized for it. I didn't blame him. I made every allowance, for he had taken on a fairly stiff job. And then one night, he was very solemn.
Say, Hanny,
What is it?
Judge, I should let you a bit deeper into this business.
Oh, you're gonna get us in trouble, mate.
I should hate to go out without leaving somebody else to put up a fight.
You're gonna get us killed. Just want to make this point. He began to tell me in detail what I had only heard from him vaguely. I did not give him very close attention. The fact is, I was more interested in his own adventures than in his high politics. We're gonna die because he's gonna... I mean, what's gonna end up happening is like he's gonna tell us stuff and then we're a target. I think that's how it goes, from what I know of the story, which is about that. Black stone. He talked about a black stone and a man that lisped in his speech, and he described very particularly somebody that he never referred to without a shudder, an old man who could hood his eyes like a hawk. Karalides. I reckoned that Karalides and his affairs were not my business, so a lot that Scudder said slipped clean out of my memory. He was very clear that the danger to Karalides would not begin till he had got to London, and would come from the very highest quarters, where there would be no thought of suspicion. Julia... Chechenia? Checheni. He mentioned the name of a woman, Julia Chechenyi? Chechenyi. As having something to do with danger. She would be the decoy, I gathered, to get Karalides out of the care of his guards. From what we know of it. Okay. We're in trouble. He remained solemn for the rest of the evening and spoke a great deal about death. He's gonna die tomorrow, isn't he?
I reckon it's like going to sleep when you're pretty well tired out. Awaking to find a summer day with the scent of hay coming in at the window. I used to thank God for such mornings way back in the bluegrass country. And I guess I'll thank him when I wake up on the other side of Jordan.
Right. That was a car pulling up, wasn't it? I'm driving away again. We're in trouble. The next day was much more cheerful, and read The Life of Stonewall Jackson much of the time, while the rest of London celebrated Empire Day. I went out to dinner with a mining engineer whom I had to see on business, and came back in time for our game of chess before turning in. In we go. Okay, yeah, he's died, and so we're going to go in and find him dead. Maybe we couldn't have trusted Paddock. Round. This reminds me a little bit of the Harry Potter game, the first one, where you had to draw the way your wand moved. It reminds me a little of that, doing these squiggles. I was very inaccurate then as well. And the light switch.
God. Scudder.
Yeah, thought he would be dead. The fact he's talking about death is like, yes, I know stories too. Continue the story. In the soup. Oh no, because he told us what it was. Saturday, the 23rd of May, 1914, Wimpole Street, London. We're going to have to peg it. When was it, the 15th of June? So hide until then. That sounds like a plan. Because they know who that is, which suddenly makes us a target. Henry V by William Shakespeare. I think that's a part 1, part 2. Which one is it? Doesn't say. The poor, staring white face was more than I could bear. I staggered to a cupboard, found the brandy, and swallowed several mouthfuls. I had seen men die violently before. Indeed, I'd killed a few myself in the Matabele War, but this cold-blooded indoor business was different. I needed to think. You need to run! Leg it! Hannah's result will stop here. I'm an ordinary sort of fellow, not braver than other people, but I hate to see a good man downed, and that long knife would not be the end of Scudder if I could play the game in his place. Yes, the body. His enemies had found him, and had taken the best way to make certain of his silence. Scudder had been in my rooms for 4 days, and his enemies must have reckoned that he had confided in me. I would be next to go. It might be that very night, or the next day, or the day after, but my number was up all right. No chance. We'll go around. Supposing I went out now and called in the police, or went to bed and let Paddock find the body and call them in the morning, what kind of a story was I to tell about Scudder? The odds were 1,000 to 1 that I would be charged with the murder, and the circumstantial evidence was strong enough to hang me. I think it means would not be. Yeah. The odds were 1,000 to 1 that I wouldn't be charged with the murder, and the circumstances... Yeah. I think that's how odds work. Pointless endeavour. Few people knew me in England. I had no real pal who could come forward and swear to my character. Perhaps that was what those secret enemies were playing for. They were clever enough for anything, and an English prison was as good a way of getting rid of me until after June the 15th as a knife in my chest. If I told the whole story, and by any miracle was believed, I'd be playing their miracle. Karolides would stay at home, which was what they wanted. Yeah. Run. Run. Someone must have been searching for something, perhaps for the pocketbook. Pocket knife and various coinage. Ooh, is that a sovereign? That might be a sovereign, actually, I think. Okay. Sixpence. Henry V. That's not Henry V! Life of Stonewall Jackson. I wonder if these are actually going to be used for anything. Jackson, the Soldier and the Man, Chapter 33. Our poor, brief record of this splendid career is finished. Would it were worthier, but one merit it at least possesses, that of truth. Thus fought and fell the great leader who had attracted to himself so much of the affection, the respect, the admiration of his countrymen. Thus passed before the eyes of the world, and into the shadow of the tomb, the lofty figure which will live forever in the memories of the southern people, as in every heart. The knife had been scudded to the floor. So, smoke. Karolides comes to London. Greek Premier pushes for Balkan resolve. Greek Premier Konstantin Karolides is to attend London next month to discuss his recent call for a new international conference to resolve the ongoing tensions in the Balkans. Sir Walter Bullivant, Permanent Secretary at the Foreign Office, told this newspaper that Karolides' visit is part of a new strategy to secure peace in the embattled region. Securing stability in the Balkans and managing the claims of the various new states and peoples of the region is crucial to our relations with the great powers. Other great powers, you are British. I have absolute confidence that Karolides is the man to chair any such conference. American agent... I did pick it up. American agent's suicide by gunshot. Suicide, coroner's request. The circumstances attending the death of Christopher Rick of Wimpole Street, Paddington, formed the subject of an inquest held at Southwark Coroner's Court before Mr. T.F. Parsons on Wednesday this week. The deceased, an American businessman, was discovered in his affluent fifth-floor apartment by his valet on the morning of the Tuesday 19th of May. Mr. Rick was known by few in the apartment block, with neighbours describing him as a quiet man who kept himself to himself. Little is known of the American's business affairs, aside from his brief encounter with Turnabout Publishing, with which he had brought an array of pulpwood propositions. It is suspected that Mr. Rick was not meeting his targets and was in financial difficulties. On the evening of Rick's death, he had been behaving out of character. The valet spoke, describing him as looking like death, with worries obviously playing on his mind. Before retiring for the night, Rick had his valet mix a sleeping draught before dismissing him. It is understood that Rick was adamant that he did not wish to see a doctor, so the valet did not send for professional medical attention. A large trunk was found empty in the fifth-floor apartment. However, the lift man of the Wimpole Street residence said that it had a considerable weight when he helped the deceased take it to his room. Owing to the various empty bottles of hard liquor around the apartment, potentially the contents of the trunk, it is clear that Rick drank excessively before taking the revolver and shooting himself in the head, severely disfiguring the lower half of his face. The revolver was found on the bedclothes next to the body. No reports of a gunshot were noted on the evening of the death. Rick's was the only apartment on the fifth floor, and on the level below, occupants Mr. and Mrs. Joe Twisden were out for the evening. The jury returned a verdict of suicide while of unsound mind. With no identifiable next of kin, the deceased's possessions have been handed over to the American consul. Right. So we need to find... We can't find... Okay, so we've looked at everything. This is what these 4 are. Oh, no we haven't. There was nothing in the waistcoat pocket. Oh. So we're looking for the... Okay, so we've... Haven't we already grabbed these? Oh no, we can't grab the money. That would probably be useful in some capacity. Right. Ooh. No, I thought that was a thing over here, but it's not. So I'm gonna find this other little dot over here. Oh, no. Oh, that's a fire. No. It goes... Yeah, it goes in the direction you put it. It's not dragging around, which is throwing me a little bit. Box, some papers. Right. Dear Peter. Was it Samuel Johnson who... Something. It's... Dear Peter, was it Samuel Johnson who wrote, "When you're tired of London, you're tired of life"? Well, my dear Peter, if so, then I'm tired of life, for here I am in London, bored and at my wits' end. The city is noisy and chaotic, and I can't get any exercise. I'm yet to meet a suitable lady to pass my time with, though I have met a fair few unsuitable ones. My bets are paying off on the track, however. My shares in the Rhodesian diamond mines continue to keep me dining in the capital's best restaurants, despite Paddock's continual insistence that I should dine at home and try his culinary skills. One can only hope that they are better than his valet skills. Speak soon, dear friend, Richard Hannay. And the box is the only thing left to explore, isn't it? Victoria medal of some sort. I don't know what that is. That's unfortunate. What kind of what medal is it? These are various people. I'm guessing that's the father and the son and the dog. So I've explored everything. We haven't found it. Awarded, no stone unturned. Yeah, because we've turned everything over. We can't find it either. Right, onwards. There was no trace of Scudder's black book. Most likely the enemy had found it, but they had not found it on Scudder's body. I'd come to a decision. I must vanish somehow, and keep vanished till the end of the second week in June. Then I must find a way to get in touch with the government people and tell them what Scudder had told me. What are we doing? Can I not? Okay, so we're clicking on the bedroom. I wished to heaven he had told me more, and that I'd listened more carefully to what he had told me. There was a big risk that, even if I weathered the other dangers, I would not be believed in the end. I must take my chance of that, and hope that something might happen which would confirm my tale in the eyes of the government. Nothing else to interact with, is there? Back in here. That wasn't there before. Open. My notion was to get off to some wild district where my Veldcraft would be of some use to me, for I would be like a trapped rat in a city. I considered that Scotland would be best, for my people were Scotch, and I could pass anywhere as an ordinary Scotsman. With your accent? Ah! Sorry. I fixed on Galloway as the best place to go. It was the nearest wild part of Scotland, and from the look of the map was not over thick with population.